Welcome to Gulfstream today and the penultimate race card of the weekend. We got another 12 tomorrow on President's Day, so we're right in the middle now, Andy.
I hope my man Jason Blewett is watching because penultimate is his favorite word.
Oh, really?
So he's gonna, yes,
Did not know that. I'll never
excited.
use it again.
Jason's the greatest. I know you're kidding.
We got some great betting opportunities for you this afternoon. Let's run through real quick in here. Hi, Jason, by the way. You see we have
Too late. Buried yourself. You're finished with him.
Rolling a super high five in the first race. And, of course, we have the for early and late pick five. The early pick five, Andy's going to give you his ticket in just a minute or so. But the big news around here is the Rainbow Six. It is approaching $1 million just in the pool. It's going to be way over $1 million when they start sending the money in today. And, you know, you can get that for a 20-cent wager. And then we go right to a late pick five this afternoon. And, that, again, Andy will have a ticket for that. That's in race number 8 with a 12-race card. And fast track, firm turf course, pretty nice day in South Florida. A little partly cloudy now, but it's going to be beautiful throughout the afternoon.
No.
And excuse my voice if it sounds like I have a cold, because I do.
No, it's all right. You'll get better eventually. Let's try to get better with the pick five.
Race number 1, a mile in the 16th on the turf. Fillies and mares 4s and up. And let's see Andy's early pick five.
I'm going to use the 2, 6, and 8 to try to get through the first race. And these bets are trying about surviving. I'm betting against Starship Tammy in the second race. If you want to say there's a horse I'm against, try to get home. The 2 favorites in the next race. 3 and 4 in race number 4, they too will be the favorites. Try to wire the field with the 4 Made of Steel. And if we get the last race, the 5 and 6, if you want to add a little bit more money to the ticket, I thought the 9 is a long shot to use in the last leg. We'll get to those as we handicap them. Think of this as a guide to get through. Race 1 on the turf. And race 1 on the turf, I guess Holy Scat is kind of the horse to beat in here, the 8.
Yeah, this one is wheeling back after returning from a freshening to finish a late closing second, beating a half length at this level in distance. Trainer Dane Kubitsky has a red-hot jock. Corey Lannery been riding great all weekend long, all meet long, I should say. The logical choice in there. But as I looked at the card, the horse you have on top, the morning line favorite, I didn't even use. So I don't know if I was looking wrong or something like that.
That's the morning line favorite?
Yeah, the number 2, Key Dioro. So I was like, uh-oh, what did I miss here? Because I went back and looked. So not on my ticket, and I want to hear about the 2, Key Dioro.
The significant drop down in this race, and I'm always looking for drop downs in these fields, and I don't have an argument against Holy Scat, except that there doesn't figure to be much speed in the race. Now, that doesn't necessarily help Key Doro, who's not projected to be up close, but I'm hoping that Nick Juarez can get this horse closer, has a good inside post, and in the past this horse has been able to be close to the pace, and I'm hoping with this post be a little bit more aggressive and get some early position, and if that's the case, I think she can be tough. The 6 Navajo Kitten's another one I'm using as well. They thought had some races that fit. I don't have a strong opinion here. I'm using all 3.
Yeah, and I went with the 7 responsive on my ticket. Third start of the current form cycle, Mark Cassie, Jose Lezcano. Turf race, you see Jose Lezcano, Mark Cassie. Sort of got to use that one on my ticket, but we'll see how that first race goes. It's Andy get out of the first leg of his pick 5 ticket. Second race this afternoon, 7 furlongs, claim his fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. Non-winners of 3 races in life. We're going to have 7 runners in this field, and one of those horses in this field who I have on top of my ticket, you do not, Andy, is the 4 Slava. And I know you wanted to show a video about Slava.
Well, no, we'll just talk about Slava, and we'll take a look at her last race. We talk about her. Well, she ran fine last time. I mean, keep in mind, this was a very weak field she was in, and the horse, who was a vastly overbet favorite, you could see the one was 2 to 5, didn't run a step in here, so it was not a particularly strong field. And I'm not saying she's meeting any killers here, but both Slava and Starship Tammy, they're both sort of last time was the time horses. You know, you got the money with Slava at over $9 last time. Starship Tammy, who did have a brief steady, but got a very good trip last time and beat a horse that came back and lost again at a short price that never seems to get it done. And I don't have any argument that these are the 2 horses to beat, but I don't think there's anything particularly compelling about either one of them.
What I liked about Slava's last race, and I think it had more to do with the horse next to it, the 7 stop, and then, you know, this one got passed by the 7, and then Slava fought back to win, but I think it was just a case of the survival of the fittest as they went to the wire. So 4 Slava on top of my ticket. Andy has the number 6 horse in there, and that is in full motion.
Well, I think one of the questions about today is, how's the rail? The rail didn't seem to be the place to be on yesterday's card, and I thought in full motion could be in a position to control. Now, whether this rider, if that's the case, is adept enough to stay off the rail is another question. I don't have a huge amount of trust in full motion, but last time was in a tough, much tougher race from a pace scenario, was run off his feet, and this is a horse that she has run fast enough to win this race when she's been allowed to be in a controlling position. And I don't love her chances, but I think she fits the race fairly well. And Absolute Beauty is the opposite. The 7, she's a dead closer, but I feel like if the speed of In Full Motion falls apart a little bit more, maybe it helps a closer. I want alternatives, and I think the 6 and 7 are the alternatives. 1 and 4, I'm not in love with them, but I think the 1 and 4 are both somewhat vulnerable favorites.
Yeah, I really didn't. I didn't know what to do with the one going back to that Starship Tammy. Stepping up, stretching out. Really impressive performance last time out. Kathy Mungian, Emisael Jaramillo going for 2 in a row. Basically a guess in there. I just thought Slava was the right one, but you're right in looking to go maybe somewhere else. Nothing really jumps off the page there. Let's go to our 3rd race today, and this one is a 6 furlong claimer for 4-year-olds and upward. A non-winners of 2 races in life, $6,250. We do have a scratch in this race of number 3, Flashing Cat, and both Andy and I have clear status. On top of our ticket was mugged at the start last time. Yeah, let's show it. You got shuffled back. We'll show you that performance right now.
Yeah, I mean, as you were saying, this is a horse that just got completely and totally eliminated at the start. And I liked the winner of the race and felt extremely fortunate. This was very lucky because the 4 horse just gets completely steadied out. And this is a horse that, while the 8, from a dynamic standpoint, as you see her appearing in the picture now, making that outside run 3 wide, the 8 has a tactical advantage from a pace scenario. We'll talk about pure talent in a moment. The 1 isn't that slow, assuming it doesn't get eliminated at the start, so it shouldn't be that badly compromised by the 8, who is a scary drop down in here.
Yeah, in this one today, clear status, you see they made that sustained run to be 2nd in that race after that terrible start. So I just thought, and Andy did too, that maybe this is the one to beat in here. But you mentioned the 8, Pure Talent. This one is moving to the Peter Walder barn, and if you spent any time in South Florida the past years, first up to claim from Peter Walder, always been pretty good angle.
Yeah, but you're getting a horse he claimed for 12,500. He's running back for 62.5, and I understand he wins the race, gets claimed, because the horse is going to get claimed out of this race in all likelihood. They're going to come out about even when they've paid off their bills. So it's not exactly a positive move. They're saying, I want out of this horse, and I want out fast on a horse that tired last time. Walder, for what it's worth, is 4 for 9, dropping 50% or more off of the claim. So he does win with these things. He's $2.15 ROI. This is just the other horse. I don't want to overcomplicate it. It feels like the 1 or 8 are supposed to win this race.
And the same with the number 6 in here, El Gran Gallego. We both have 2nd behind clear status back on January 3rd. Now going to renew the rivalry today. You think? Fresh today. Didn't have that other race, so maybe that's just enough to turn the tables on clear status. Let's go to race number 4 this afternoon, and this is 7 furlongs maiden claiming event. 3-year-olds are going to run for a $75,000 tag. We have no scratches in the race, and I went with the number 3, Yellow Chips, who's stepping up to this $75,000 level. Recovered last time out from a bit of a slow start to finish. I thought a promising 2nd. It was its $50,000 career debut. I see this as a lateral move today because there's no real standouts, for $75,000. But that was 6 furlongs. It was in the slop. Eddie Keneally, Javier Castellano. So you're going to get some Javier Castellano money in here, handling that stretch out today to 7 furlongs.
Yeah, I thought he was one of the right 2 horses on paper. And here, I'm not thrilled. I don't like horses that don't get bet that strongly in their debuts, that run okay in the mud. And he was running at the end. I didn't think he got left. I thought he was just kind of sluggish at the start. Maybe on a dry track in the 2nd start, he'll have a little bit more speed, and that'll help him out because the horse he has to beat, Made of Steel, has a tactical advantage. He's the clear controlling speed in this race. And Made of Steel, see, unlike Yellow Chips, who's coming out of a mediocre 50 maiden claimer,
Right.
Made of Steel was 5th behind 4 really strong contenders in what was a pretty good maiden race. I mean, Mo Power was a heavily bet Todd Pletcher, Mike Rapoli horse. Dr. Monty was 2nd for Shug McGay. That's a very promising horse. To put that horse on your list for like the summer 3-year-old stakes, that horse could be okay. Dixie Runner's a good Chad Brown horse. That was a real field in there. And if this horse is in a controlling position, runs back that race, I think he's going to beat Yellow Chips. Unless Yellow Chips didn't really like the mud last time, he runs better in the dirt.
Yep.
which is possible.
Number 6, Aventus, hasn't been seen in a long time. Showed promise sprinting during a 2-year-old campaign here. Makes his a sophomore debut. The first start since finishing third. That was at maiden special weight race last July. Antonio Sanning, Luis Sayers atop the son of Colonel John. This is a guess here.
No, he's a very usable horse.
Right.
I agree. I mean, I'm just going to use the two of them, but if you're
Right.
going deeper, he's clearly looks like the third horse on paper.
Let's go to race number 5, and we'll go to the turf for race number 5. 1 mile and 1/16. These are filly 3-year-olds. $35,000. Scratch number 1 in here, My Sangria. And Andy and I have our top 2 horses flip-flopped in here. You're going to start it off with number 5, and that is Spring Mountain Mist.
Yeah, I thought this horse ran fine in his debut. Broke a length slow, rushed up to chase 5 wide in the first turn, was 3 to 4 wide in the second turn. I mean, a little bit tight and stayed the 8th pole. It was going nowhere at that point, but did the dirty work early in the race. Not surprising it tired. I thought this horse was just a logical horse for Bill Mott at second start. These horses often benefit from their debuts.
Number 6, Degree of Freedom, is dropping to this $35,000 level. Break from the rail. After breaking from that rail, stalking the pace that day, weakening. That was its $75,000 career debut at the distance. Chad Brown, you know, he's good with horses making their start. He's good with everything. He's got Javier Castellano. Immediate drop to the $35,000 level. Didn't run that well. So they're looking for the spot for him to win, and you got to respect these conditions. You don't need me to tell you that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've got the horse in there. I think that the key to that horse's debut was it was a driving rainstorm during that race. So it's very possible that horses that were farther back just kind of got mired back there and never really had a chance to make a run. This horse doesn't appear to have a lot of ability, but she'll probably run better for Chad second time. Other than 9, Marriage Material was a little bit interesting for Mike Trombetta. It's a horse that was entered for the turf the first time and actually took a little money. Now, that was a very weak field that it was in. Right. But it's a first fall from a dam that's a half to 6 turf winners and a solid turf family at that. I thought this horse was an interesting horse getting the turf. They tried to get there first time. I don't care what the horse did in the dirt in that race. This is going to be a turf horse. I want to use that horse. And, you know, like I said, I put that $36 ticket. You want to make it 54. If you want to add one horse to the sequence, add Marriage Material price.
Yeah, I had to scratch one of my third horse scratched out My Sangria. I used Princess Aquila stretching out today after rallying. This horse was 14th in the last time out. Ran up to finish 5th in that race. It was a $35,000 career debut. This is another one that's bred for the grass. Not really a great race last time out, but this is one of the horses that, you know, could be on the Super or something like that's going to close strongly. At least in my estimation, I think you can grab part of that ticket, but I like the thoughts on the 9 with you. Let's go to race number 6, and this one is 5 furlongs on the turf. It's an allowance optional claimer for fillies and mares 4-year-olds and up, $25,000. We have 9 runners in here, and a lot of horses faced each other last time out, and we're going to go back and show you some of those horses.
Yeah, I mean, the horse, to me, the 3 and 9 are the 2 horses you want in this race, and we'll see if it plays out that way. I'm not that's the 7, Prince Fiona.
Right.
The horse in pink will be Miss Matzo Ball. Keep your eye on the inside when that horse comes into the stretch. First of all, that horse just dropped out at the start. She's not that slow. I know it's 5, and she's not a horse running in 5, but watch her as she'll come behind the 7 horse on the inside. You can see the chicklet that she's well back in this race. Meanwhile, Indian Splendor off layoff, and you see her. Javier is badly steadying on the inside with her. He tries to go around. Miss Matzo Ball, who was favored in that race, a little over bet favored, but favored, she's going to run better today. I don't know if she'll beat Indian Splendor. For me, I would just use those 2 horses in here. You obviously saw the race differently. And listen, I'm chalking it out, so a different idea can't be a bad thought.
Well, number 4, Sweet Butterfly, who I put on top, I believe is 10 to 1 on the morning line, ridden by Corey Lannery, is returning to one of her favorite surfaces. She's ridden here 3 times. She's got a win in 2 seconds. After shipping from Monmouth into Gulfstream Park West and running a strong second, that was against $20,000 claimers. I don't see the big jump up in here. I mentioned the connections. Jane Sabelli, really respect her. Corey Lannery atop this 3-time winner at the distance. Got one of those wins right on this course. So a little bit of a horse for Corsang, a little bit of a price. You're right about Indian Splendor. Ms. Matzo Ball, I think you got to have them on their tickets. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have the Rainbow Six, well, my ticket in the Rainbow Six, and we'll see what's going to happen today with that big carryover. Welcome back to Gulfstream. Today we're going to talk about race number 7. Of course, this kicks off the Rainbow Six with almost $1 million in the pool. 1 mile and 1/16th on the turf. Claim is 3 and up, 35,000. Scratch the main track only. Number 11, Kids a Kid. We're going to show you my ticket here, and you'll see the progression. And you'll just look down to race number 11, the 3-horse Stonetastic. Finally got my single that I think this horse could win today, and I went to be able to go 3 deep in all the other legs. So try and get it. $48.60. I need Stonetastic to win today. Simple as that.
See, I mean, I think she's extremely vulnerable today. She has to be on the tickets. We'll see how it plays out. That's a tricky race, and we'll talk about it as we get to it. I thought it started out with an interesting race here. I don't have an argument, though, the 9 deficit reduction, who I'm guessing you might have put on top for Chad. That's probably the horse to beat, Ron.
Yeah, this one is dropping a notch on the competition scale, after returning from that layoff to finish 4th in that race, beating 3 lengths. Local debut, that was against $50,000 maidens. Chad Brown, he's good with this kind of move, so I had him on top of the ticket. He's in the bottom of the form, 25% with this type of freshening, and I just thought this horse was the logical horse in here. And you did go with the number 8, Kid Jeter.
Yeah, no, in deficit reduction, I thought being close to the pace didn't do any benefit. He was saving ground the whole way. He didn't get into a great spot. The 3rd horse, though, was a long shot that held was the speed. The 1-2 finishers in the Chad's race came from last and second to last, so it flatters speeds, except the speed horse, a long shot, finished 3rd. And I think that horse is fine, but I also don't think the deficit reduction is any kind of superstar. So if you've got some idea to try to beat him, and I mean, you've got Bebo coming out of the same race. I don't see Bebo at all. He was a little bit wide in there, but I thought he made a winning type move and just stopped like he got shot. I don't know what happened to him in there, and I had liked him last time. Maybe I'm being too hard on him, but as far as Kid Jeter, George Weaver, I didn't put these stats up. First of all, it's the first fall from a dam that's one of 2 turf winners to 2 to try the turf in the 2nd generation, the dam's production. She won 4 of 18 starts in the turf. No great shakes, but ran an 84 buyer, won $67,000. And this is a trainer switch, significant trainer switch to George Weaver, who in my opinion is one of the sharper trainers in the game. And while George seems to do a lot of his better work at Saratoga, where he's had phenomenal success over the last 7-8 years, I found these interesting stats. Trainer switches with maidens on the turf. He's 5 for 18 with a healthy ROI of 540. At Gulfstream Park, trainer switches, and I like to look up the Gulfstream stats, especially George, who's not winning a lot, and he does some more prepping for later. He's 3 for 8. So he's won with 3 horses out of 8 with this kind of switch. Got pedigree. They tried to get on the turf. Never been on the surface before. No killers in here. Why not take a shot?
Yeah, and you got Jose Lezcano. We talk about how good he rides on the turf. And also this horse, you mentioned the connections was a key race that he came out of. It was a while back. Of course, it was on Turfway on the synthetic stuff. So great pick, I think, for a little bit of a price in there. 6 to 1, to throw on your ticket.
6 to 1's a little short.
Right.
I mean, I'm not sure why he's 6 to 1 on the line. If he's only 6 to 1, I'm almost less interested. I don't know. He had the look of a horse that could be 15 to 1. He's done no running in his races.
Well, I'm sorry, Andy, we mentioned Bebo. I want to talk about the 2 Salt one for a minute. It's eligible to show more. He broke from post 13 in its last race. He went up, he stalked 4 wide, he finished 5th. He was 50 to 1 that day when facing this level of competition. Was on a softened turf that day, was listed as good. Timmy Hills is the trainer, Corey Lannery named to ride. Just thought maybe this horse, 12 to 1, is one of those horses you might want to give a second look to when you're putting your tickets together.
I thought the 6 Martini Kid was one you might want to take a look at. And this is a huge pedigree. And I know with this pedigree, 35,000, you question it. But keep in mind, it's the same trainer who put, of course, the big pedigree and had a big price first-time out winner in a maiden claiming race early in the meet. And it's a colt. So unless you think this horse is going to be a stud, it's not exactly, the residual value doesn't exist. This horse is a half to 6 turf winners, a full to a horse named Somali Lemonade, who won a lot of money in the turf, and a grade 1 winner, a half to Rastafarian, who was a good turf horse. There's a huge amount of pedigree on this horse, and I think you get a bigger price in this horse than a horse like Strong for Todd Pletcher.
Right.
And I wanted to show Todd's stats, just to keep this in mind, as great as Todd does down here. And what this suggests is Todd doesn't really run his first time on the turf. He doesn't run as good horses in these spots. It's not that he's bad at it. It's that he's saying these horses just aren't that good. Now, this one has plenty of turf pedigree. It's a half to 3 turf winners. Harlan's Holiday is certainly proficient as a sire, but this is not saying that Todd does well, and they automatically take money, it seems, because of Todd.
Yeah, I mean, and I did not use him on my ticket for all those reasons. 2 for 34, 6% with that stat, 4 strong. So, you got to try and beat him in those spots, especially when you're putting a multi-wager your, a multi-race ticket together. Let's go to race number 8 this afternoon, and this one is a 7-furlong maiden special weight event. Fillies, 3-year-olds, and we got 9 runners in this field. A full field, no scratches or jockey changes to report in here. We got our exacta flip-flop again. I'll go first. Paola Queen has been knocking on the door in both local starts. Blinkers added, which includes that second place finish at the distance, in which she received an 82 buyer for her efforts. So I thought that was a pretty good performance. Why not? Now, but I can understand putting Privy Council right on top.
Paola Queen is an hour and a half the horse to be in this race. Let's do a very promising Todd Pletcher first-time starter named Kinsley Kisses, who was bet off the board. She ran very well in there, and she runs back to that last race. She's not losing this race, and we'll put up my pick 5 ticket. There's an argument to singling Paola Queen in this race, and it's also, you've got a Todd First or Adornment. If that horse was bet off the board and Privy Council is 6-1 in here, right, I'm going to use Adornment, not Privy Council. This is a ticket I'm making up now. You want to hold me to it? Be my guest. When betting real money, you've got to look at the board and make decisions based on what's going on. Privy Council is one of those horses. I thought this was dreadful in its debut, but it was 4-5. It was a Todd Firster, but it was 4-5. And these kind of horses, I've seen them come to Gulfstream as much, much different horses. So this is the other horse. But listen, if Adornment gets bet in here, now Adornment has a gigantic pedigree. This horse is a half to Bluegrass Cat, Lure of the Game, an enormous amount of good runners, but also a dam that's getting a little bit older, and the production lately hasn't been great. Hyper Nation back there is a chance, but to me, it's Paola Queen and whichever one of the 2 Todds you want to use at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I mean, I couldn't really separate them. I used them both on my ticket along with Paola Queen on top for all the reasons that we just mentioned, and that is in race number 8. Race number 9 this afternoon, 7.5 furlongs on the turf, an allowance optional claimer for 4-year-olds and up. 1 scratch, it's the main track only, number 13. We're all set, so we're going to deal with 12 horses in this race, and the horse that you have on top of you, yeah, very good race. Horse you have on top, Circus Performer, sort of a circus time of ride this one gave out the first time. It was fantastic. Want to go back and show that performance. It was pretty good.
This was 16 months ago, and I'm not thrilled with taking horses off long layoffs, but watch this horse's performance. It's not as though this race just completely fell apart. It was almost as though Circus Performance was just sort of ridden along in here, was running in a completely different race than everybody else was running in, because he just runs by the field. It wasn't a particularly fast race, but Gallery, who finished 3rd, beat a lot at Belmont Park a little bit later in a small stake. It's a very live field. So, I think that this is a very interesting horse for Todd and kind of an all-or-nothing play. Maybe it's not that good. Maybe it won't come off the layoff, but I have a feeling Circus Performer might be okay, and I want to try this horse.
Yeah, no way I could leave him off the ticket. I'm glad to see you also use the 1 on your ticket, who's 10-1 on the morning line. Canadian Flyer. Yeah, this one who broke his maiden on the turf here in front-running fashion. It was last March. Makes his first start since finishing 6-wide 3rd. That was an entry-level allowance race going a mile on the Belmont turf. Here's the caveat: it was last May, but Bill Mott has the son of Canadian Frontier working strongly over the Payson Park training track. And through the years, we tell people Payson Park, a much deeper track. Horses really get legged up pretty nicely over there. You got to respect Bill Mott. I like the 10-1 on this horse.
Bill's numbers are good off of layoffs down here in general. They're fine. I mean, he's a 20% trainer with 180-day plus layoffs on the turf with a positive ROI. And the horse Face the Music that won that last race is actually a very nice horse for Shug and the Phippses that got hurt, I believe, not long after that race. I think after finishing, maybe lost a takeover target, I'm not sure, and then got hurt. But that horse can run. It's interesting how this horse changed its running style in that race after having been speeds and showing extreme speed in some races. Bill changed the running style. That horse is dangerous. There's a lot going on in this race.
Now, Air Bueno, the horse you have in second, this horse is my long shot pick 2 times in a row, and it's disappointed me. So
it's
now,
run off. Nice.
So it's run off today, and I'm sure that Chucky Simon is glad because he keeps yelling at me when I make this horse the long shot. So I want to know why you put him on the ticket. Well, I really do.
Well, Chuck is the only other person besides me that's never been wrong.
Really? Oh, yeah.
You know him. You know, well, like me, he's never wrong.
You guys from up in Saratoga,
right, it's an upstate thing. It's an upstate thing about never being wrong. Listen, I think a lot of horses win. This horse just has some fast figs and was a mile and 7/16 last time. A tough field, 2 races back with a bit of a wide trip. I just thought this horse has some fast races. Give it a chance to price. There's a lot of horses that can win here. Smoke 'em Kitten, who's coming off of a year-plus layoff. That horse certainly has a chance to win this race for Mike Maker, but the pace, it figures fast, and it's a horse who's had speed in the past. The 9, Lay That Pistol Down, certainly can win, but this horse could get involved in a fast pace. I know Claimed by Jane Sibeli beat Cheaper, but it's ex-Navarro. There's a lot of horses here that can win.
Yeah, no, but you look, talking about Lay the Pistol Down, the morning line favorite. If you go through and you're a buyer or aficionado, he's got a 90 and a 98. You know, this horse is pretty fast. Dangerous. If you're looking at those fixes, so you're absolutely right. A wide open affair in race number 9. Good race, going to be a lot of fun. We'll see how that works out. We'll go right to race 10. This one, 1 mile and 1/8 on the turf course. Maiden special weight, 3-year-olds, 9 runners in here. Pretty nice race. I love these maidens on the grass. You know, mile and 1/8. I went with the 5 City Flyer. You have that horse in second, but let's hear about your horse. Tisn't a Saint at 10-1.
Well, let's just say City Flyer's the horse to beat in this race. I mean, this is the horse the race centers around. Had a super wide trip last time, 4 wide at the very least, the whole way around the track. Lost position early in there and kept on running. This is an obvious horse and a horse that you have to use in here, and I'm not no knock on it. And I think you have to talk about the 7 Never So Few. It's a giant pedigree. It's interesting they bred Rags to Riches to Galileo because it's really more of a dirt family, and who knows if this horse can really run. But in fairness, this horse ran against killers in its first start and didn't run well, but ran well enough that I wouldn't just dismiss this horse going forward. So the question is, who else do you want? You took a horse that has a lot of pedigree, and I have no knock on Patterson Cross, except that it's a Bilmont first-time starter, and they just don't usually win. Whereas Tisn't a Saint is a horse that I think this horse is going to end up the speed. First time Lasix was 5 wide on the first turn last time out, 3 wide in the second turn, obviously stopped, but stopped like a horse that well might have bled. And Godolphin doesn't want to use Lasix with their young horses, so you see the switch to Lasix, and you're going to see him when they really need it. I think this is the kind of horse that could be the sleeper in here, though I do respect the 5 and even the 7.
Yeah, and you know, Patterson Cross, you mentioned the breeding. You'd like this horse, a full brother to a horse that won the Pan American twice right here, and that was Newsdad. So I just thought that consistent pace and park work tab should have him primed and ready to run well. But you know the story, Bilmont. But it's Jose Lezcano. Maybe not for the top pick, but someone you certainly have to think about and give it a shot in there.
Well, this horse says half to 3 turf winners, including Newsdata, you mentioned, and Blarp is in there as well. So there's plenty of reason for that horse to handle the turf.
Let's go to race number 11, and we have a late scratch that in here, and that is of the number 2 Flutter By. So
when was that horse scratched?
It just came through my ear.
That's a very, very, very big scratch.
It just came through in my ear in here, and that's why I only have the 2 selections up there, because I did have that horse on my ticket. And I mentioned earlier on that the 3 Stone-tastic was my single on my Rainbow 6 ticket. So 2 selections up there. I'll go back and look at another selection later on when we come on. So a big news here, and want to go back and I guess show you the performance of Stone-tastic.
Yeah, this was a reckless ride in this race by a horse in the race, and you're going to see what happens. You know, I think Gabby and I watched the head-on in this race, and Jeffrey Sanchez was riding another speed. It's fine if you want to be aggressive, and I love aggressive riding, but he's not really paying attention to anybody. He's just coming over, and he cuts off Paco Lopez. Now, after yesterday, it's hard to feel sorry if anybody cuts off Paco Lopez after yesterday. Having said that, you put horses in danger, you put people in danger in all seriousness. And she lost all chance in this race. The problem with her, Ron, is she's never won a race when everything didn't go completely her way. The scratch of Flutterby makes it easier for this to be one of those races, though. Yeah,
and, you know, she's uncomfortable here. It's not usually sitting behind the pace, and that was because of the trip she got. She finished second to a horse that ran yesterday. Best behavior. Kelly Breen is the trainer, Paco Lopez, and this is a grade 2 winning daughter of Ms. and Mist, and so after this, you see this. She just never got the chance to run the way she wanted to run.
She needs to be clear controlling the pace, and it's more likely that that's going to happen with Flutterby coming out of the race. Now, More Than a Party has a lot of speed in here. Whether or not More Than a Party is going to use her speed against Stone-tastic remains to be seen. It becomes a much easier scenario. If she gets clear and she controls the race, she's a very, very likely winner. And I wasn't aware that Flutterby scratched. It's obviously a very big scratch in this race. I'm still going to put her second because, in my opinion, she's a favorite that's just been disappointing time and time again, even though she's clearly talented. And I took a shot with Miss Melinda in here. a horse who will show some stats from Marty Wilson. He's got very good numbers on trainer switches on the dirt. She's not fast enough to win in her dope. She's going to need to improve. I mean, her PPs don't have her fast enough to win this race, so she has to get better. I'm hoping Marty can move her up. She wasn't a pretty good barn of Bill Mott before, so it's not going to be easy. We'll see how it does. The race doesn't set up as well, though, with Flatterby coming out. I'll still use both of them in the pick 4.
Well, I like the 4 a little bit in this race, too, and that's Mom's Last. Going to try and make it 3 in a row locally after following a sharp allowance score here in December with a hard-fought victory. That was in the 7-furlong, $200,000 Sunshine Millions distaff. So Mom's Laugh, I think, also gets help with the scratch of number 2, Flutterby. So,
well, what do you think about the fact that Javier Castellano's been riding this horse? Now you get Nick Juarez, because frankly, Javier made a lot of the difference last time, and also you bought her getting a bad ride. Also made a difference in that race. But she has clearly improved, and she's improved with each of her starts recently. I just wonder if the rider switch is a negative. Not trying to pick on the other guy, but you are going from the 3-time winning Eclipse Award winner to a guy with a very, who's not getting a lot of mounts.
Nick Suarez is his go-to rider now, so maybe that's the way he saw it. That certainly can't hurt.
Is Javier, like, he's riding earlier, right?
That's
is he going to...
Maybe he's going somewhere.
I wonder, is he on a horse at Tampa, or is he somewhere out of town?
Well, he was at Tampa. They're all back today, so maybe...
But I wondered if he was leaving midway through the card to go somewhere, or is he leaving early to ride at Laurel? I don't know. It just seems sort of weird. Is he riding there tomorrow in the big stage?
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. And you got to catch a plane.
He's got to be here with us tomorrow, Javi. He better be.
12th race, 7.5 furlongs. We'll do some research on that, by the way, and find out.
Very important information we need to discuss.
7.5 furlongs on the grass. Claim is 4 and up. Non-win is a 3 in life. $16,000. Scratch the 2 Big Island Boy, 13 and 15. Please note that the 14 all cash will get in and run today. I went with the 5 in here, Andy, an Imaginary Road, who's dropping to this $16,000 level in the first start since finishing 5th, beaten less than 2 lengths. It was a $50,000 optional claimer here last March. It was a key race. It had a long time to become a key race because it was last March, but 5 winners came out of that from the 10 starters to win. Timmy Hills, Rafael Hernandez atop. I had this horse as a long shot. Never thought he'd be, up there at 4-1 on the line. I thought he'd be. I had him as my long shot special today.
I thought he'd be the second choice in the race behind the 9. I mean, you've got 2 significant drop downs in here. You've got an Imaginary Road who's coming off of an 11-month layoff, and Timmy Hill's numbers off layoffs are lousy. They're not good.
That's why.
And this is a negative drop down. But people don't. They're not getting bet because of stats. They're going to see this horse is dropping. There will be people betting this horse who don't even realize it's coming off that long a layoff. And I think it's a big net. Listen, I got this horse 4th. I'm not going to be surprised when it beats me. Market outlook is an even worse drop down in a way, because this is a horse they just claimed for 50, and it ran okay. I mean, they ran above its head, and the Sycamore didn't even run that badly that day, and then was a disaster against much tougher last time out, and now they're dropping it for 16. This is a bad sign. They're begging somebody to take this horse off them. This horse may well win, but it's a big negative. So I think Tinto Mesa, if you're against them, is the logical horse. And I know turf is definitely a better service than dirt, but man, this horse was bad last time. Bad.
So you went with Impatore.
Well, because I don't trust Tinto Mesa. I don't trust the 5 or 9. And I've got a contract to bet Imperatori. I hate the post, but it's a significant rider change to Jose Lezcano. And I have to think the rider change is intentional. This horse got one of the craziest rides of the meet last time. Was lone speed in this race from the rail. The rider took the horse back to last, almost fell down heading the backstretch on him, took a very bad steady in the backstretch, and just lost all chance whatsoever. This horse should have been in the front end. Now, this is not an easy race today, and an outside post, but it's a horse where I've got question marks about the favorites. I've got to bet this horse.
You got, that's what
you're trying. A big price. I'm getting Jose. Yeah,
you're getting Jose at 12-1 in the morning line. Well, that's how we see. Do we have another race? No, 12 races this afternoon.
12 more tomorrow, Ron. We can do them now tomorrow. If you want.
We're gonna.
Larry will wait, right? Larry, you don't mind,
Larry's
right?
giving us the thumbs out of here.
Larry had an incident in the supermarket. He attacked some lady in the market.
I know. I heard about it. Yeah. Well, you can read it on the.
It's not nice. It's not nice what he did.
We're gonna get out of here. Bye.